we are going to be doing is we are going to be talking about how stablecoins have grown beyond crypto trading. So before now, when people talk about stablecoin, it's usually brought up in conversations where people are talking about preserving wealth. You do not want your local currency, especially if you are an African, you do not want your local currency to get devalued. So you exchange it for USDT, and we all know the stress that comes with having a dollar account. Some banks will request that you bring in two current account owners, the land deed of your village chief, a number of guarantors that can sign in for you before you're able to open a dollar account. But these days it's different. People have started using digital assets, especially stable coins, to mitigate for this. Now, today, stablecoins have started powering new possibilities across payments, global commerce, travel, financial services, and so on. And today, we will be joined by leaders from Helicode, Timon, and NexaPay, where we'll be talking about how does this work exactly, how this works exactly, how we've been exploring stablecoins, how they are transforming international consumer spending and helping businesses to build faster and provide more access to financial experiences. So we're going to unpack real world applications. So now we are moving from the technicalities to something that an everyday Nigerian, an everyday Kenyan, an everyday African can relate to, how stablecoins are powering lifestyle beyond just trading. So we are looking at it from the lenses of products and experiences that we use every day. And I'm going to be introducing our speakers for this evening. I'm going to start with Adewale Fatoki of NexaPay. A round of applause, please. A round of applause. A round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. A round of applause for Adewale Fatoki. I'm going to introduce him a bit, and then we'll move on to the next speakers. So, Adewale Fatoki is the founder and CEO of NexaPay, a fintech company building simple and affordable payment solutions for Africans. With a background in software engineering, he has led the development of products that bridge traditional finance and digital assets, helping Africans to seamlessly access global payment services. And under his leadership, NexaPay has introduced innovative products such as its stablecoin powered dollar card, helping users overcome cross-border payment limitations while delivering a smooth, reliable experience. Adewale is passionate about building practical financial products that expand access and unlock new opportunities across Africa. Please, I need another round of applause for Adewale. Adewale, can you hear me? And can you see me? Can everyone else?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very
Welcome.
much for the introduction.
Welcome. Let's move on to Vandross of Helicode. Please, I need to see the reactions. I need to feel the round of applause because it's going to be an amazing evening. So, thank you. With 4 years of experience in the blockchain industry, Vandross has built his own blockchain consulting firm and a logistics platform powered by blockchain technology. He is a mentor of Stanford Web3 and AI Research Labs and the host of the Mooncast. Before this webinar started, I was talking about how he's already a podcast person and he's not new to this. While doing all of that on the side, he's a co-founder of Helicode. I'm going to hear more about what Helicode does as we proceed in this call. And last but not the least is Feromi Ajetomobi, the Director of Growth at Timon. I'm not seeing the reactions anymore. What's going on? Round of applause. Thank you. So Fermi has a very short bio, straight to the point. Fermi Ajetomobi has spent his career figuring out how money works better for Africans. He's currently the director of growth at Timon, with past leadership roles at Flutterwave and Cowrywise. He advises fintech and Web3 founders and believes the most interesting financial infrastructure problems are still being solved in Africa. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this beautiful evening. To our speakers, if you don't mind, can you turn on your cameras so that our guests can see your amazing faces and we can put a face to the names and the introductions? Hi, Evandros.
Hola, or should I say konnichiwa from Japan?
Thank you. How do I say thank you in Japanese? Is it
Arigato. Arigato.
See, I'm still very current. I wasn't sure. So I'm not an anime person, but I catch beats from books and, TV shows. So I think, yeah, thank you. Fermi, I get to see your face.
Hello, everyone. Hi. Good evening, actually. How are you doing?
Good evening, Fermi. So I'm going to throw this first question to the three of you, and I would want Vandross to go first. So before we go deep into stablecoins, and this is also an opportunity for everyone here who don't know about what Helicode does. By the way, Helicode is a global workforce / payroll infrastructure product. So if you have a business and you have global teams, sometimes local currencies can cause friction in how you pay talent. So Helicode is solving for that with digital assets, especially stablecoins. So before we go deep into stablecoins, Vandross, tell us what problem you were trying to solve before you started building Helicode.
Okay, so should I tell you about the different projects that I was working on or what we were doing before we evolved the Helicode business model?
Please go for it.
Just everything. Yeah. So, Martin. Yeah. So, I guess I can start with one of the products that I built in the space, and so that one was not a stablecoin product, and then I can get a little bit into Helicode and how we evolved that. So, I built a B2B blockchain SaaS-based model for documentation and storage and logistics. And we're trying to solve a very big problem in supply chain from when goods get put onto the port and then they go through different stakeholders and documents were getting forged.
I have no idea what has happened, but let me check.
Oh, I'm the co-host now.
Apologies about that. Please go on. So you'll be
Okay.
able to, if you want to share your screen or yeah, you'll be able to do that. Well, please go on.
Okay, yeah. So long story short, I don't know what you guys missed out on that. Should I start over or or were you guys able to hear me the entire time?
You can start over. You haven't gone really fast, so you can start over.
Yeah, so I was just telling you a little bit about my experience in the blockchain space. I've built multiple different things. I just wanted to explain a bit about one product that we built, and it was trying to solve a supply chain documentation issue on the ports. And long story short, there were different stakeholders in which documents go through before it can finally get the final stamp to be approved by customs. And so what we realized was for instance, say the product was something that people felt they could forge. They would try to forge a document, maybe do some price skimming, whatever they would do, or the documents would get lost. So we decided to centralize those documents into one platform and then link the documents to a transaction hash on a blockchain. And so that was the SaaS-based model that we built, and then it got funded in London. And that was the first full-blown software company that I built. And then I ended up building Helicode. And how Helicode kind of started was that we actually started as a training platform. And so we're training a lot of Africans on emerging tech, and ranging from smart contract development to Web3 marketing to blockchain cybersecurity and so on and so forth. And then we realized that those talents need to get placed. So we built a placement pipeline to help them and get jobs. And then when we would get them jobs, we realized that that was the bottleneck that we found with the payroll. And so that's when we saw that companies were struggling to pay the talents. Also, as well, we were also having issues trying to pay our talents. And it was just a natural progression to, okay, let's figure out a way to solve this problem, leveraging the blockchain as an intermediary layer to facilitate fast cross-border payroll. And yeah, so we built out the entire thing in about 3.5 months. And yeah, we launched it a couple months ago. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And yeah, I'll stop from there. I don't want to get too much. I know we don't only have a limited amount of time. So yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you for the extensive explanation. So while we're on this call, if anyone wants to find out more about what Vandross and his team are building, you can just check helicode.xyz. I'm leaving that in the chat. And as we go, you can also drop your comments, you can drop your questions so that we can ask each of our speakers during this webinar. So feel free to use the chat. It's very free. You're not going to pay for it. Your bank account will not be affected if you drop a comment or questions. So I'm going to move on to Feromi. Hi, Feromi. Could you tell us a bit about what Timon is currently building? I know if you go on Twitter right now, Feromi carries Timon on his head like Gala. If you are not a Nigerian, so Gala is a street snack. It's a street snack in Lagos mostly. I'll say Lagos because I'm mostly in Lagos. So yeah, Feromi is very vocal about what Timon does. But for everybody on this call who doesn't know, please tell us a bit about the kind of problems that Timon is trying to solve, especially with the coins. Thank you.
I'll use a personal example. So when I traveled to Benin the first time, I remember how crazy it was for me to always like move money around just to pay at the stores or even the local market, because I wanted to experience how things happen at the local market. So for example, I changed cash at the border, which I lost when I was getting into Benin. For some reason, it fell from my pocket. So that was a problem for me. Then I got into the local town. I was able to get like a new SIM card, just like make some transfers. It was in French. It was annoying. It was just an entire mess for me. So that entire anxiety of do I have enough money to get the things I want, and do I have the money in the way I want it, was a problem for me. At that time, I didn't know what Timon. In fact, Timon did not exist at that point in time, right? And then we started to like, I just like always talk about the idea of making it easy for travel. So what Timon simply does is that as a nomad or as a traveler, wherever you find yourself, the idea is that you should never be stranded anywhere you find yourself, and you should be able to make sense of your local currency wherever it is. So whether you're Nigerian and you're in Cameroon tomorrow, you should be able to spend your money in Cameroon. If you have a card, if you give you a card, you should be able to use your card. If the person you're about to pay does not accept a card payment, you should be able to transfer to them. So multiple options that ensure that you're never stranded, either in terms of payment or in terms of connectivity. That's what Timon does for people, especially those in the global south.
Amazing. That stranded part is real as today. We've heard stories of people who have relied on their Naira card before the whole policy came about, limits. I think it has changed again. people getting stranded because they can't pay for stuff. And it's amazing that we've come to an era where these are going to become a thing of yesterday with time. Adewale, are you there? Hi. Could you tell us a bit about NexaPay and what NexaPay is solving? What problems NexaPay is solving with stablecoins? And generally, just tell us a bit about NexaPay.
Okay. Honestly, NexaPay was born out of the pain point of seeing Africans still finding it difficult to make payments globally. Freelancers, software developers, who still find it difficult to pay for stores such as ads, something like Meta ads, even music subscriptions and the like. So that was one of the reasons why we realized that okay, we need to build something for fellow Africans able to have access to these global financial opportunities, because it seems that most Africans are still limited to their local financial access. They can only access financial services easily within your country or within your immediate society. That was why we decided that okay, this dollar card is going to be able to solve this problem. So with the dollar card, you can literally pay for anything all over the world. Whether you want to pay for something you order on Temu, or you want to pay for the website you bought as the domain you bought for a website as a developer, or as a digital creator, you want to pay for your advert, the dollar card literally works for almost everything globally. So and then we have other things in NexaPay, such as ability for users to send and receive money from one user to another user, and then they can also pay for their bills, such as airtime, data, electricity, and TV subscriptions. So that's basically what NexaPay is all about.
Thank you so much, Adewale. I'll go back to Vandross. So my first question for you this evening, Vandross, is what changes when businesses decide that they want to move from traditional banking rails to stablecoin powered settlements?
I'll tell you a couple of things that we were able to do for businesses. One of them is cut the time duration from the money going from point A to point B. And then two, a lot of times what would happen in businesses their bank account would freeze accounts sometimes, especially when you're trying to send money across borders to continents that the bank may not be familiarized with. And the third thing too as well is the Forex exchange. And so we were able to solve all these problems by using stablecoins as the intermediary rail and creating an automated payroll pipeline so that it makes it seamless for cross-border payroll across companies with those global distributed teams. So that's what we were able to do for them.
Okay, amazing. Let me move to Fermi. The Timon proposition is grand and elegant. You get to convert USDT, you fund a physical or virtual card, and you get to spend this money anywhere. So can you walk us through what that actually means, or what it looks like for a customer that is doing that for the first time?
Oh, sure. So there are two ways that stablecoins play a role for us. First, stablecoin natives, and some people have never interacted with stablecoins, where stablecoin is just the underlayer for them. However, 70% of our funding currently on Timon is still from stablecoins, like people that fund their Timon account. So how it works currently today is there are two ways. You either have the stablecoins, or if, for example, we've seen cases of people in some other countries where we're not currently in, but definitely we're going to get there, because our idea is to be everywhere possible that we are needed. So I'll give you a very simple example. Someone in, say, I didn't mention any country's name, gets their local currency, converts it to stablecoin, say USDT, most popular in Africa. They bring it to Timon, and within a minute or two, they're verified very quickly. And thankfully today we have something that gives people a free virtual card or a free eSIM, regardless of where you are and how you sign up. You get that, you have a wallet address that is created for you instantly, top up, bring in the stable coins, and voila, your card is topped up and you can spend anywhere. So we've seen cases of like people in certain countries that there's certain restrictions on how they can spend and they need a card that works. They come in with their local currency, convert to stable coins, and instantly they fund and they start to use their cards almost immediately. Like I can say within 3 minutes, 5 minutes, a person is set up on Timo.
Thank you. So still on customer journey. Thank you so much, Fermi. I'm going to ask Adewale this question, still on customer journey. Can you walk us through, this question is for Adewale, by the way, can you walk us through the user journey from someone holding USDT in an external wallet? So they have MetaMask, they're using Phantom, and they need to move that money out to actually spend it or to actually pay for it. What does that look like? Can you walk us through the journey of your typical customer or user?
So the funny thing is, it's kind of pretty straightforward. As long as the user already has a USDT in their wallet, what they just have to do is go straight to their Ninja Pay mobile application. We currently have two ways to fund the dollar card. Either you use the stablecoin option. So for you to use the stablecoin option, all you just have to do is deposit through USDT, and then let you click on that, the wallet address will be automatically generated for you, and then it will be transferred from wallet to the wallet address generated for you. And then once the confirmation is done within 2 to 3 minutes, it gets credited straight into the dollar card. Easy and so fast, no complications at all. That's the user journey, just straight from their wallet to the dollar card.
Okay, I like how simple and why I think it's from Adewale. Okay. So I like how simple the whole process is. And can everybody hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
can
you
you,
can.
Adewale, can you mute? I think there's a little bit of feedback coming on your end. Adewale, can you mute? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he has gone mute. Okay, so we'll just move on. Thank you. Thank you for co-moderating the session. So before we go on to next questions, again, you can leave your questions in the chat for Vandros, for Adewale, for Fermi, so they can respond as we go. My next question is for Vandros. Global payroll is a space that is dominated by familiar names. I don't want to call names now. What does building on stablecoin rails give you that these big names can't easily replicate? So sometimes for some businesses, it could be, if you are still small, you get to call your customers, you get to call the merchants partnering with you, you get to call your users, find out about what problems they're facing, and quickly you move fast to solve it. This is just an example. But for Helicode, what are the things that the big names are not currently doing with stablecoins that Helicode is able to achieve?
I think fundamentally one thing that we did was different was we built the entire platform, the infrastructure on stablecoin rails, as opposed to trying to partner with a company that maybe had a stablecoin option. And I think what that does is it cuts costs, right? And the one thing about us is different is we're able to charge less, and it applies mainly to the African market as we plan to expand out into the entire emerging markets in global South. So I think that our target demographic is more so that market that's being a bit neglected from the startup space SMEs, those ones that, anywhere ranging from 50,000 to, 1 to 2 to 3 to 5 million in volume every single month. Whereas I think Deal is more targeting, or other companies, they're more targeting enterprises and people that can pay a lot more. And so I think that's what separates us a lot in that aspect. And so.
Amazing. Thank you for walking us through that. My next question is for Fermi. Hi, Fermi. For Simon, a physical card is very tangible and it's a very traditional product.
Mhm.
How do you explain to a regular customer that the money behind it is sitting on a blockchain?
So I think the magic of it all is they should not even know, to be honest. They shouldn't know that it sits on the blockchain, because I know that people spend stable coins, but I think stable coins are more valuable on the settlement side of things. So I just need to know that if my money is on my card, because what a customer cares about is, if I take my card somewhere, is it going to work? For example, Apple Pay used to be locked out for Nigerians. A lot of Nigerians could not use Apple Pay until like platforms like Timon and Co came around, right? And what the customer cares at that point in time is, if I take this card to where you say it's going to work, is it definitely going to work? If it's not going to work, the customer does not care whether it sits on blockchain or it sits. In fact, at that point, they're going to insult you that, okay, because it's sitting on the blockchain, that's why the card did not work. But on the part of the settlement side, what really is happening for people that would like to know and how everything goes is, before stable coins, issuers and people used to struggle with like settlement. So we had like a five day in a week window. So after 5 days, weekends, you could not settle anything. But with Visa and companies like Rain, what you have is that settlement for card payments settle 7 days a week right now. So whether it's a Monday, whether it's a Saturday or Sunday, all those payments would always settle on the back end. So reconciliation is easier for people that are operating, settling like payments of the cards and whatnot as of now. So that's the good part about the stablecoin. So the benefit of it more is on the side of actually the business owners and people that operate on the back end. But even for the customer, what it just means is that there are better funding ways for you. There's more access for you regardless of where you are. So that's it for me. Stablecoins and how they work for cards.
Thank you very much, Fermi.
Sorry, Pro. I wanted to add one more thing too as well, about one thing that also separates us from our competitors, and that's obviously that we have a compliance layer as well. So for companies that need that compliance sorted, we're able to facilitate that from payroll deductions, EOR, and et cetera, across the continent. So we have those capabilities as well, on top of the fact that we are cheaper because of our partners and how we've set up and built the infrastructure and the pipeline to get from get the money from point A, which is the company, to point B, which is the talent, to get paid, and with favorable Forex. So yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Okay, thank you for adding that context. So I'm going to go back to one of the things that Fermi had mentioned, is how at the end of the day, the point is to make the use of stablecoins very invisible for the end users. They do not necessarily need to know what technicalities go behind the scenes when they are using stablecoins. The point is, we want this to be very convenient for you as possible, and this is a service trying to do that for you. And my next question will be for Adewale. What has been interesting about seeing your customers interact with stablecoins through the experience of a product? So, like Fermi has said, most of these things are like very technical and they're like back end. So what's the most interesting thing about what you are doing and how you are seeing your customers interact with stablecoins in real time?
The biggest surprise is that people actually care less about the technology, but they care more about the outcome. They're like, oh, does it work? Okay. Okay, as long as they have USDT in their wallet, okay, and say, okay, let me try this out. Oh, they make the payment and then it works. Oh wow, then well, some don't even know what a stablecoin. They don't understand what a stablecoin is. All they know is okay, they receive coin from someone, probably maybe they got paid by someone, and then they have USDT in their wallet. And realizing now that now they can use that to shop for everything they have. Initially, before you can spend your USDT, you first have to go through the stress of having to convert it to Naira and then go to the nearest place where they are selling what you want to get before you can use it. But now, all they know is that what they have to do is just send the USD straight into their Nexapay dollar account, and then it gets funded, and then they can easily start using it to pay for their online service immediately. So that was the most interesting thing I've been seeing so far. They really care less about the technology as long as it works, and long as the outcome is that they are able to pay for what they wanted to pay for easily and as fast as possible. That was all.
Thank you very much. Again, it's interesting that retail customers, users, and people who just want to have the whole convenience that comes with just one more option that adds value to my life. I do not really care about what the DevOps team, what they're doing, or what the engineer is building. I just need to spend this money when I travel, when I want to pay for Spotify, when I want to pay for Netflix, or when I want to pay my staff from another country, another continent. Awesome. So before we go on, I'd like everyone on this call to indulge me for a bit. Tell me in the comments where you are listening to this webinar from, or where you're watching us from. It really matters to us, so that maybe in the next webinar we can find a way to send the delicacy of where you're listening to us from to you. This is not a promise, I'm just saying in case. So let me know where you're listening from, or where you're watching this webinar from. And before we go on, I'm just going to catch everyone up briefly on the discussion so far. So we've talked about stablecoin usage evolution, how we've moved from traditional banking rails, how we've moved from wealth preservation methods to active infrastructure for cross-border payments and daily commerce. We've also talked about global payroll infrastructure, which Vandross gave us more point of view on, how Elicode uses stablecoin rails to help bring on faster, cheaper cross-border salary payments for distributed teams across the world. We've also talked about financial access for travelers. Simon offers card solutions to make sure that their users can perform transactions seamlessly across different regions without getting stranded. And like Adewale had explained some minutes ago, we are looking at the usability over technicality. The point is providing convenience. The point is having a use case over technicality. We are prioritizing seamless user experiences with stablecoin products, keeping blockchain complexities hidden from customers, and we are focusing on functional outcomes. And then lastly, we have talked about virtual payment solutions. Again, Nexapay helps their customers fund dollar-denominated virtual cards through USDT for global purchases and digital subscriptions. Now, it's amazing how we've talked about all of these amazing products, and for some reason, I've not talked about Quidax. So if you don't know Quidax, let me just tell you a quick story about Quidax. What Quidax does is help businesses buy, sell, move digital assets with ease. We help individuals like you. We help businesses like Helicode, Nexapay, and so on, as well as financial institutions, to move stablecoins and crypto in and out of Africa with confidence. I had to quickly chip that in so that Quidax can sponsor another webinar next time. So let's move on. Again, please leave comments in the chats. If there's something that has stood out for you, please, we're not hiding this. This isn't a cult. Go on Twitter to talk about what you have heard here. You can tag us, Quidax Global, at Quidax Global on Twitter, and yeah, don't keep this to yourself. Let everyone else know what you are gaining from this webinar. My next question is for Fermi. Why has USDT been an important part of creating the overall convenience experience for Simon's customers?
So it's interesting that you specifically mentioned USDT, and I think first of all, USDT is very popular. To be honest, like it's more popular and it's easier when you are trading in global south, in particular, right? So to settle a couple of transactions, who's going to be like an off taker? It's so interesting that you know, so much people still use Tron despite the associated interesting cost on the chain. But yeah, people still use Tron a lot. It is quite popular, and what has made it very easy is when you're trying to move money from one border, let's say from Nigeria to Ghana, you have Naira and you want to change to cities, right? There's a tendency that nobody wants to collect that Naira. So it's a willing buyer, willing seller market. But if you hold USD, anybody anywhere is willing to like accept USD. So it makes it easier for us, you know, like settle these deals as quickly as possible. So say for example, we have someone like recently we just launched in we just rolled out in Malawi. The person, the party that is helping us to offer in Malawi, and I heard Aquidax does offer in Malawi, so we should be speaking also, right? So looking forward to that. So Aquidax does some more from there. If we give that person Naira, so somebody wants to send money from Nigeria to Malawi, the tendency of them collecting Naira is very, very low, but they will definitely collect the USDT. So the popularity of the USDT across a lot of off-ramp takers has made it easy for us, like just easily launch anywhere today. Like almost anywhere we can find an off-ramper, we're able to launch as quickly as possible because USDT acceptance in those regions. And currently we're in about 40-something countries in Africa and looking to expand to more.
Amazing. I mean, if you've expanded to 40 countries already, the rest is just like a trek. You're not far from conquering the whole continent. My next question is for Vandross. So for companies considering stablecoin infrastructure like you, so you had mentioned about how enterprises, how small businesses and so on use stablecoin to pay their teams. Now, if a business is considering stablecoin infrastructure, in your own experience, what are the biggest misconceptions that you have seen, and what do you have to say about those misconceptions?
I think one of the things that we understood is that you can remove the stablecoin complexity for the TradeFi or the traditional businesses, people that are not used to crypto. They feel like they need to be crypto natives. So all those complexities can be removed and extracted completely to where you don't see. And that's actually, we think that's how adoption is going to happen at scale, is by removing those complexities, allowing it easy for companies to be able to onboard into products that use stablecoin rails or to build their own stablecoin infrastructure themselves, but still on the front end look like it's a normal platform using USD or whatever local currency you may have, right? And so I think that's how we're able to, you know, do the next 1000% gains in terms of growth for the stablecoin market in the next 5 to 10 years. And I think that stablecoin is going to be one of the dominant verticals in the blockchain crypto space moving forward within the next 5 years. I mean, you're talking about a market that's done around 800% in about 5-6 years. So yeah, we really think that this market is going to be one of the primary arbitrary rails for the continent of Africa and also the entire global South in the next 4 to 5 years. I think it's going to happen very, very fast, probably even earlier than that. So yeah, we're betting big on stablecoins.
Amazing. I like the expression, we are betting big on stablecoins. Thank you for that. My next question, a follow-up question for NexaPay. Helicode has talked about what they do differently that big competitors do not do. Adewale, for NexaPay, consumer fintech is very brutal in Africa. There's so much fintech services in Africa right now, especially in Nigeria. It is very competitive. So what does NexaPay do right now with the services that you provide that big names can't?
If you are being very honest, we know there's nothing we can do right now that all those big markets cannot do. So I believe the only advantage we have right now is, okay, we are starting on previous rails, using previous rails to start our, which should give us the ability to move faster, scale faster, expand into other opportunities, other countries, African countries, and the likes, instead of us having to go through the process of building from scratch, like all these big markets, all these other markets started from scratch. All we just need to do is to get a big partnership with an existing one, and then we can move fast from there. I believe that's the only thing that's the only advantage that we have over them, the ability to be able to move faster, because we don't have to build things from scratch and just start from a pre-existing rails, then go ahead from there. Yeah.
Okay. I like the fast movements because I think that's what you can have going on for you in this very competitive market. My last question, because we need to round up so we can take questions. For Vandros, workplace compliance is the unsexy bits with what you're building, and it is very critical as part of what you do at Helicode. How does settling in stablecoins change the compliance conversation across different African markets? How do you navigate compliance? Not every African country allows crypto, and stablecoin fall under that category. How do you navigate that bit?
Yeah, so one thing that we do is we work very closely with our partners. One of our partners that we've been able to negotiate a deal with was Yellow Card. And so it helps us a lot on the back-end portion of moving monies from point A to point B, and also for the off-ramp portion, right? And more so on the taxes and the deductibles and everything. The governments just want their money, right? They just want the portion from the amount that is supposed to be sent to the government. They just want that sent to them. So they don't really care how you do it, as long as it comes into their local currency, right? For the most part. So we haven't had any issues or bottlenecks because we've been able to leverage our partnerships for the licensing portions, and then for the compliance rails as well. As long as the governments are able to receive those tax deductibles and statutory payments, then they don't have an issue. So we haven't come through anything yet. And also, I think one thing that we want to start doing in the future is to start working with governments and to try to see if there's a possibility for us to streamline that process and make it more easier for them to be able to do compliance, maybe build APIs and et cetera, because those elements aren't really so streamlined yet in Africa, in particular. So we haven't checked yet other global South countries, but we really want to focus on Africa first before we start expanding out into the rest of the global South.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I have a follow-up question though. When you decided a few weeks ago, we had gone public to mention how you integrated Quidax as part of your stack on Helicode. How did Quidax come through for you in terms of compliance, or in terms of the technical bits of enabling businesses pay their teams with stablecoin in any way or form? How has Quidax, come through for Helicode?
Yeah, good question. Quidax is very fast, and they helped us a lot on the off-ramp with Ghana. in particular, because we didn't have an off-ramp with Ghana. So they're very uniquely positioned in that regard. And they're very, very fast, very affordable, and also have really, really good rates as well. So we're very, very thankful for the that integration. And it's also, Ghana is one of the bigger markets in Africa too as well. So it's going to help us a lot in the long run.
Thank you. And please, nobody should get me wrong on this call. I'm not trying to sell Quidax. Please, it's totally not what I'm trying to do. You heard from Vandross himself. So I have a 2-in-1 question for Fermi. The first one is similar to what I asked Adewale. Again, consumer fintech, very brutal. As a matter of fact, I think today I still saw on Twitter where someone was saying, we have enough fintech. People should build something else. We have enough fintechs in Nigeria. Why is nobody building something else? So for Timon, it's one more fintech. Now, how do you navigate this very competitive area, especially as regards traveling, spending outside of Nigeria, or spending in Benin or Malawi, like you mentioned? How have you been navigating this? And then the second question, the second part of this question is, for African travelers and digital nomads, what has surprised you the most about how people use Timon?
Okay, so let me start from the answer about, do we have a lot of fintechs? Everyone to their own opinion, to be honest, right? At the end of the day, let's be honest. Yeah, we're building to solve problems, but everyone wants to just win a share of the market. So how I view it is, there's a person I really respect. His name is David Ogilvy, and he said something, right? What matters is the positioning. So for example, when Schweppes came into the market, they asked themselves whether they wanted to become another soft drink or they wanted to become a mixer, right? So today, most times when you go out to most places where people have drinks, you see them using Schweppes tonic water to mix up their drinks. But Schweppes is still a soft drink, whether you like it or not, but people use the Chapman and Co. for a mixer. So it is not, it was not by mistake that happened. It was actually intentional positioning as Schweppes as a mixer. And down to Timon, what we realized is that people do cards. We started off primarily as a cards business before we started to do transfers, started to do other things. People do cards. And you have one card, it works today, it doesn't work tomorrow. You need to get another card, it works today, it doesn't work tomorrow. And that's the truth. It's going to be a consistent problem, at least for a while, in the global south. So we came up with the narrative of, we are building specifically for people that like to travel. So the positioning there is what defines us. And that's why, for example, today on Timon, you have multiple cards. In fact, when you come to Timon and you want to buy a card, we have something called the Timon Duo, because we understand that one card might fail, not because of the fault of Timon, not even because of the fault of the card provider itself, just for reasons that you might not be in control of. So there are multiple options that help you stand out, that help us to stand out in the sense that the message is clear, ensuring that people that travel and move around a lot are not stranded. And that has also gone on to motivate how we approach partnerships. For example, the eSIMs that we have is because of travel. We're also looking into very travel-specific partnerships, and that now gives us a particular niche of us to play. So it's all about positioning most times. There would always be more fintechs. When I leave Earth, fintechs also. It's just normal that way. But that's it.
Don't worry, you can. Are you done with your thought, or you want to move on to the last?
Oh, the last question. So what have I seen that is surprising about how people, very interesting things, to be honest, right? So I see sometimes people say things like, I never thought of it that way. I want to just separate my travel money from my regular money, because there are two sides to that, right? So for example, we want people to use Timon to travel, but you can also use your Timon card to, like, pay for subscriptions and things like that. So people buy the Timon card and they use it for travel and they never do it again. I'm like, why? And they decided to explain to us that they see Timon as a special account for just using to travel. We tried to get some of them to use it later on, but that experience, I don't think it was an African thing, to be honest, that people want to actually just separate their travel card from their regular card. There was also seen some people where they're nomads and they want to live like a private life. At first, I was worried about that. What do you mean not live like a private life? But it started to make sense to me. So people just want to have Timon that I live in Nigeria, I'm working in Kenya, I'm working in Ivory Coast. When I'm in Ivory Coast, let me use Timon to receive my salaries or spend whenever I'm there. So those are like two interesting things that I've seen so far from people that are nomads in Africa.
Thank you so much. I like that part of setting aside travel money, because you know how most savings fintechs will tell you, oh, save for rainy days. You don't know what emergency can come. And you find out that it's every day that rain is falling now. It rained yesterday, it rained today, and then you find yourself spending the money you could have used to travel. Very sad something. So let's move on to the questions that we have in the Q&A. Interesting that people are asking anonymous questions. These are interesting questions, and I don't understand why we're asking anonymously, but yeah, we'll take that. So we have 5 questions here. The first question, if I'm a fintech founder, what should I consider before integrating stablecoins into my products? If I'm a fintech founder, what should I consider before integrating stablecoins into my products?
Can anyone answer?
Vandross, you can go for it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, one thing you need to consider is the expense. How are you going to integrate it? You know, what's the cost going to be like? How can you reduce that cost? And also, is it needed in the market immediately? And if it's not needed in the market immediately, then there's no point in even trying. And if it is needed in the market, do you have a go-to-market strategy if you were able to build out that vertical within your product suite? So these are things you have to be thinking about strategically, because maybe it might not be worth the trade-off, right? Depending on your resources, your capacity, and if you're already making money in one particular vertical within your business suite, why would you extend to add another vertical if it's not necessary? Maybe the vertical you may be looking at that you might need might be something different, like an AI agent, or something completely different. So you have to figure out what makes the most sense for your capacity, and then also figure out, does the market need it right now? And is it solving a true difficult pain point? And then how are you going to be able to integrate it without being so resource intensive?
Okay, thank you so much for your brilliant response. So to add to what Vandross has said, PDAX can contribute to your research if you're trying to find out what's going on in the world of, stablecoins adoption. I'm going to drop, we have a comprehensive report that we have done on the state of stablecoins in Africa. So I'm just going to drop it here. It's very comprehensive. We did it in collaboration with Tech Cabal. So you can know that the sources of our findings are legit. So you can go through it and find out more information about the adoption of stablecoins in Africa. The next question, let me see. Let's quickly answer that. Should startups build their own infrastructure or work with existing providers? I think Nexapay, Adewale, Mr. Nexapay, please take this question. Should startups build their own infrastructure or work with existing providers?
All right. Like I said earlier, I said this one of the things that gives us an advantage over the big folks already in the market is the ability to move fast. And that is thing to do is to partner with existing infrastructures. Can you guys hear me?
It broke for a few seconds.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear
Yeah,
you
we
now.
can hear you now.
Okay. So like I was saying, so I said the best thing is to partner with existing infrastructures. It's because it gives you the ability to move fast and scale fast. Because, instead of you thinking of how to build the infrastructure that is going to power a particular part of your startup, all you have to do is to start thinking of, okay, how do we market this? Or you can even start thinking of how to expand into maybe the next country, or how to expand it to another ecosystem. Why, instead of having to think about building your own infrastructure? So the best thing I believe from my own end is to work with existing infrastructure providers.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you so much. And again, PDAX is an existing infrastructure provider. So if you're interested, we want to take the stress off of you. We want you to just, you've ideated. It's not easy to come up with brilliant ideas at this age and time. It's not easy to come up with, brilliant financial access ideas. You need someone to hold your hands. You are just there thinking of the next big thing, like, Adewale has said. You're not worrying yourself about liquidity. You're not thinking about compliance. Just reach out to us. Quidax.io is the address. You'll find us there. We have crypto payments and collections on and off ramp, core API infrastructures. Just talk to us. The next question is for Feromi. How do you handle KYC from other African countries?
That's a good question, to be honest, right? Currently on Timor right now, we will start at some point for some countries in Africa. We accept like local national IDs. We have a partner that is global, and why we chose that partner was because if you complete the KYC while onboarding on Timon, we're able to create a token for you and share that token with other partners. So, say for example, you sign up on Timon, you complete your KYC, you want to pay out to another country. The partner for that partner requires KYC. So instead of you repeating the KYC again, the kind of KYC partner will allow us to send a token to them and they just immediately verify. So they didn't like repeat it twice, and that helps with like the user experience for those customers. So we have countries where we accept local IDs, and we also, but majorly we work with the international passport. I mean, we're focused on travel, so we expect that he would have an international passport. However, gradually we are beginning to accept more local identity documents as we scale. It's just harder to verify local identity documents sometimes, and some partners may not accept it. That's why we stick more to the international passport and cross-border.
Thank you so much, Feromi. We might not be able to take more questions. So, Feromi, since your mic is still on, for people who have more questions about Timon, about what you do, what's the best way to reach you?
Twitter. So my handle is _Feromi. I'll put it in the chat box now.
Okay.
_Feromi. And for Timon, it is use Timon on Twitter.
Okay, thank you. Vandros, how can we reach out to you if you want to know more about HeliCode, if you want to know about your podcasts, and every other thing you're doing? What's the best way to reach out to you?
LinkedIn. So I'm just going to put my first and last name in the chat. And also, if you want to check out HeliCode, I'll just put the website here, helicode.xyz. You guys can check us out. And we're also on X as well, but we're very, very active on LinkedIn and X. So yeah, check us out.
Thank you, Vandros. And Adewale of Nexape, what's the best way to reach you if we want to find out more about you and what Nexape is doing?
The first way is Twitter. Always reach out to me on Twitter on _lexicon. That is my official Twitter handle. Or on LinkedIn, Adewale Fatoki. Or you can just message any of the Nexape accounts from anywhere, either on Twitter or LinkedIn. We will always respond.
Okay, thank you so much. Everybody say thank you to, if you've learned something from this session with Vandros, with Feromi, with Adewale, please say thank you in the chat. Thank you so much. On behalf of my team and Quidax, Adewale, Vandros, Feromi, this has been really insightful and we do not take your time for granted. Thank you so much for making our time to walk us through what you're building and how stablecoin is coming through for, you know, enterprises and retail users. Thank you so much. We are done with this webinar. If you want to find out more about Quidax, please go to quidax.io. We're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, we are on Twitter, we're on TikTok as Quidax Global. There is no full stop, there is no comma, there is no underscore, just Quidax Global. Like I said at in the middle of this webinar, we help people, individuals, businesses, and financial institutions to move stablecoins and crypto in and out of Africa with confidence. So if you're thinking of building a product and you're thinking of adding crypto, stablecoins, digital assets to your stack, please reach out to us and we're going to respond to you. Thank you so much. This replay will be available on YouTube by tomorrow, and you can get to catch up with anything you must have missed during this call. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening. My name is Ebolua and I'm happy to have been your host this evening. Thank you and good night.
Night.
Take care, guys.